and into Gabby Williams, got hit in the forehead, and it caused 2 black eyes. And you can still see some of the remnants of them, and now she's sporting the bloody lip. She is as tough as they come.
Lexie Hull stepped onto the court against the Chicago Sky already battered. 2 black eyes told the story before the game even began. By the final buzzer, she added a split lip to the list, yet still delivered one of the grittiest performances of her career. But what really has fans talking isn't just her toughness, it's what she shared after the game. Indiana's ability to dominate Chicago through all that adversity shows this team isn't simply scraping its way into the playoffs. They're reshaping who they are in real time, and if you thought the performance was bold, wait until you hear what Hull said afterward. That statement could very well be the rallying cry of the Fever's playoff run. Drop a comment, fired up for the Fever if you're riding this wave with them. Let's get it.
That's a W. Made it out. All you gotta do is keep making it out. Woo! Dubs!
How do you keep fighting when your franchise star is out and the rest of the roster is barely holding together? That's the challenge Indiana faced the moment Caitlin Clark made it official. Her season was over. Just days before the regular season wrapped up, Clark released her own statement. "I had hoped to bring better news, but I will not be returning to play this season." She had been battling a nagging groin injury since mid-July, one that refused to heal despite every effort. Fans clung to hope for weeks, waiting for a surprise comeback. But when the announcement finally dropped, that hope collapsed, and suddenly Indiana had to rewrite their entire playoff journey on the spot.
Caitlin Clark released a statement saying this: "I had hoped to share a better update, but I will not be returning to play this season. I spent hours in the gym every day with the singular goal of getting back out there. Disappointed isn't a big enough word to describe how I am feeling. I want to thank everyone who had my back through all the uncertainty. This has been incredibly frustrating, but even in the bad, there is good. The way the fans continue to show up for me and for the Fever brought me so much joy and important perspective. I am so proud of how this team has only gotten stronger through adversity this year. Now it's time to close out the season and claim our spot in the playoffs."
And it wasn't just Caitlin Clark. The Fever's entire season has felt cursed, and the injury sheet proves it. Sophie Cunningham was ruled out for the year. Sydney Colson went down with a torn ACL. Kayla Beebe couldn't shake her knee problems. And Ari McDonald was sidelined with a broken foot. That's practically an entire rotation gone. Think about it. Heading into the most important stretch of the regular season without your franchise star, your enforcer, your backup point guard, a key forward, and a veteran leader. Instead of fine-tuning chemistry, the coaching staff was left juggling lineups every single night, trying to patch holes just to survive.
End of the day, she's been working her butt off to be able to get back, and we've kind of run out of time to be able to do it in a safe way, in a safe manner. And I think we've all been very open and upfront with her long-term health and wellness is the most important thing. And to be in a position that you need to be in to play at this time of the year, we just ran out of time to get her there.
Head coach Stephanie White didn't bother hiding her frustration. She admitted straight up, "It's frustrating, all the injuries she's had." Pointing to Clark's struggles this summer, White explained the truth. The groin injury simply ran out of time. "We ran out of time to handle it in a safe way," she said, making it clear the priority had to be Clark's long-term health, not a rushed comeback. General Manager Amber Cox backed that up, stressing the focus was on protecting Clark's future, not chasing one last regular season win. But that choice gutted Indiana's depth. Take away Clark and Ari McDonald's playmaking, Sophie Cunningham's grit, Sydney Colson's veteran steadiness, and Kayla Beebe's shooting range, and suddenly every possession carried extra weight. Every substitution felt like a gamble, and yet Caitlin Clark never looked disengaged. From the sidelines, she was as locked in as ever, celebrating every basket, leaping off the bench for high fives, her voice ringing through every huddle. Even when her sneakers never touched the court, the cameras always found her. Eyes focused, energy contagious, leadership undeniable. For Indiana fans, her presence was still electric, proving impact doesn't always require points on the scoreboard.
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating, number one, just all the injuries that she's had. Obviously, I wouldn't speak for her, but and the amount of work that she's put in to position herself to be able to play and then to have to ultimately make this decision. There's disappointment. There's the obvious frustration that's come with not being healthy really for an entire season. But ultimately, I think the big picture is the most important thing, and those are conversations that we've continued to have. And the message has continued to be that it's not her long-term health and wellness and her being 100% when she's ready to go is the most important thing.
That presence mattered because the playoff race was nothing short of ruthless. Heading into the week, the Fever were hanging onto the 8th seed by a thread, just barely ahead of the Los Angeles Sparks. One slip-up and their postseason hopes could vanish. Survival became the mission. Could this depleted roster hold steady long enough to punch their ticket to the playoffs? Could they adapt without their star while still believing in themselves? At that point, it felt less like X's and O's and more like a test of grit. With so much uncertainty hanging over them, the build-up to the Chicago matchup carried the weight of a must-win. There was no spotlight, no glamour, just a demand for toughness, discipline, and the will to rise to the challenge. And for Indiana, that trial by fire became the very spark that ignited their breakout against the Chicago Sky.
The newcomer in Bree Hall plays tonight. Boston on a kick out. Mitchell, oh, she's hot to start. Mitchell finds Dantas, who rolls and lays it in.
What does a scoreline of 97-77 really say once you look past the numbers? It's more than a simple 20-point win. To the casual eye, it's just another result. But anyone following this rivalry knows the story cuts much deeper. Indiana didn't just beat Chicago, they dominated them, sweeping all 5 meetings this season by an average margin of 24 points. That's not competition, that's control. For Chicago, it borders on outright humiliation, a reminder of just how far apart these franchises stand right now. You'd expect a team with that kind of dominance to be coasting comfortably up the standings, but not Indiana. Coming into this matchup, the Fever were clinging to the 8th seed, only a single game ahead of the Los Angeles Sparks. That's how fragile the playoff chase was. One stumble here, and everything could unravel. Instead, Indiana flipped the pressure on its head. They took the uncertainty, the doubt, and turned it into their most decisive statement of the season, right when it mattered most.
Mitchell, will she add to it? Whips it back for Dantas. Kelsey Mitchell putting on a show here in Indy.
Look at the spin on the ball. Just one dribble over the head pad.
Mitchell's been brilliant on a kick out to Howard. Mitchell bouncing. Howard, the left hand.
And then getting a stop on the defensive end. I know Coach Stephanie White is happy with her team with that.
Mitchell being hounded by Atkins, trying to shake her. Mitchell bounces inside, and Howard gets the roll.
Kelsey Mitchell once again set the tone, just as she's done all season. She finished with 20 points and 8 assists, running the offense with poise and control. But it wasn't just about filling up the scoring column. Mitchell showed she could orchestrate the game, creating for her teammates while still stepping up to deliver buckets whenever Indiana needed them most.
Here in the first half. Oh, it's Howard finding Sims, who finishes tight quarters. Howard backing in on Williams. Little shake and bake. And the fadeaway.
Close on her heels was Natasha Howard, delivering 18 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 steals. She made her impact felt everywhere, powering inside for buckets while anchoring the defense with disruptive plays that completely derailed Chicago's rhythm.
Of them came in the second quarter. Indiana's just been able to hold Chicago at an arm's length here tonight. And Natasha Howard putting together one of her best games of the season.
I've been saying that little bunny, just the possession before, comes up through the contact, goes straight to her chest. Not a...
Sims finds some space and can't get the roll. Howard charging, tips it, comes down with it, and flips it home.
And the production didn't end there. Indiana had 3 more players hit double figures, proving just how balanced their offense truly was. Odyssey Sims brought instant energy in the backcourt, giving them another dependable guard to rotate in. Meanwhile, Aaliyah Boston was her usual steady force in the paint, embracing the challenge of carrying more responsibility without Clark pulling defenders away.
She is the team's leading scorer with Angel Reese not available. Hull lob it inside. Boston spins and finishes. So far in the second half, it's been one step forward, one step back for the Sky. Boston turns the corner on Cardoso, banks it home, and a foul.
Even aerial power stepped up with valuable minutes, adding scoring punch and relentless energy that kept Chicago constantly backpedaling. For a team stretched thin by injuries, that kind of depth proved this win was no fluke. It was a statement.
Good hands there by Williams. Petty, Powers, through traffic and is able to finish. Powers going behind the back on Banham, muscles her way to the rim, draws the foul, and flips it home, and one Powers.
The numbers that really tell the story: 27 assists against just 9 turnovers. That's peak efficiency. And when you consider how often Indiana has had to shuffle lineups this season, it becomes even more impressive. Nobody was forcing shots. The ball moved with purpose. Teammates trusted one another, and every defensive mistake from Chicago was punished. Possession after possession, the Fever created high percentage looks, putting the Sky away well before the final horn. But this was about more than padding the win column. This victory gave Indiana control of their playoff path. Sweeping Chicago cleared one obstacle completely off the board, practically locking in their postseason spot. And with results falling their way in Seattle and Golden State, suddenly the door to the 6th seed cracked wide open. That's not chance. That's momentum taking shape.
Watching these players.
Here's Michaela Timpson checking in for her first minutes and banking it home.
Yes, Indiana walked away with a 20-point victory. But when you zoom out, the season sweep, the playoff implications, the balanced contributions, it all adds up to something much bigger. The Fever didn't just beat Chicago, they dismantled them in every phase, proving their identity isn't tied to a single star. It's built on resilience, discipline, and a roster-wide commitment to execution. And at the heart of that identity was one performance that defined the night. Lexie Hull didn't lead in scoring, but her gritty, bloodied effort became the story everyone couldn't stop talking about. What's tougher, he playing through 2 black eyes and a split lip, or delivering a post-game message that had Fever fans treating her words like scripture? Either way, Hull stole the spotlight in a game already centered on toughness. She came in still wearing the aftermath of a brutal collision with Gabby Williams a week earlier. Both eyes darkened, bruises telling their own story. She didn't cover them up, she didn't flinch. She suited up, ready to battle. And as if that wasn't enough, Camila Cardoso caught her in the mouth during the second half, leaving her with a busted lip. But even then, Hull refused to back down. Bloodied, bruised, and unshaken, she wasn't about to leave that floor.
Powers bouncing, Hull. Oh, had it denied at the rim. Oh, looked home free, and I think
that refusal to step off the court revealed more about Lexie Hull than any box score ever could. With the roster gutted by injuries, Caitlin Clark sidelined in street clothes, Sophie Cunningham out, Kayla Beebe unable to suit up, and Ari McDonald missing from warm-ups, toughness wasn't optional. It was the only path forward. Hull embodied that standard. She didn't look for excuses, didn't ask for sympathy. She laced her sneakers, pushed through the pain, and gave Indiana the kind of minutes that define this team's identity. Fight back, play hurt, never retreat.
This guy, they just gotta get into their sets a little bit quicker.
Here's Hull off the Boston screen. She hits, and Indiana is...
I love the way that she's been able to elevate her game.
The youngsters out of South Carolina, who both are having strong seasons, as Indiana has opened up 3 for 3 with Lexie Hull.
And the craziest part, she's doing all this in the middle of the best season of her career. This isn't some role player just filling minutes. Across the board, points, rebounds, assists, steals. She's setting career highs. From deep, she's already shattered her previous mark, drilling more than 53s this year. That's not luck, that's growth. The kind of leap every young player dreams of making. And it's arriving at the perfect time, when her team needs more than just numbers. They need someone ready to carry the weight.
3 points here tonight at 14 minutes off the bench. Turner gets inside, kick out. Hull buries a 3.
Her teammates and coaches recognize it just as clearly. Stephanie White didn't sugarcoat it. She said Lexie Hull embodies everything the Fever want to represent: toughness and fearlessness. And that kind of praise isn't handed out. It's earned by playing through pain, diving into defensive battles, and refusing to let games slip away. Ask anyone in that locker room and they'll tell you, Hull sets the standard, and it's not just a one-off performance. Night after night, her effort has been the backbone of Indiana's defense. Yes, her shooting has taken a leap, but it's her defensive grit that keeps this team glued together. Shorthanded against Chicago, the Fever needed someone to disrupt their guards, to break their rhythm and slow the attack. Hull answered that call. She contested everything, stayed in faces, absorbed elbows and body shots, and never flinched. That's why the defensive numbers tell the story. When Hull is on the court, everything tightens up. She disrupts scores, communicates constantly, and refuses to take a single possession off.
Steph mentioned, whenever she sees you with the two black eyes, she smiles in a way because it just exemplifies your toughness. Do you feel tough in these kinds of situations with these two black eyes?
I mean, that's what people keep telling me. Every time she sees me, she smiles and then she says, "I'm so sorry." I'm like, you don't need to be sorry. This is what it is. And when I'm playing, like, I forget about it, and then I go and look at the mirror. I'm like, oh shit, he's still there. So yeah, I don't really think too much about it because I don't necessarily feel them all the time.
Yeah, and you're still able to see completely fine.
Yep.
All right.
Nothing's changed.
All right, perfect.
Then came the moment that tied the whole story together. After the win, reporters noticed Hull's black eyes and asked about them. She just smiled through the bruises and explained that every single day they battle for the teammates stuck on the sidelines. A living example of the Fever's warrior mindset. Her message was simple but powerful. We play for one another, whether we're healthy or banged up, and every scar is proof of that fight. In that instant, Hull became more than a player having a breakout season. She became the face of what Indiana basketball represents. And the contrast couldn't have been clearer. While the Fever were building a culture of toughness and unity, their opponents across the court were busy falling apart in the spotlight.
The resilient, nature of our team. I think one other thing that sometimes goes missed is just the character of these women, right? Especially this group that's been here, that's gone through all of this, and then the ones that we've brought in with O and Che and AP. I mean, these are women who care about winning. These are women who care about one another. These are women who sacrifice every single day.
What does it really say when a roster missing 5 players still takes control of its playoff fate? Indiana delivered that answer against Chicago. The math tells the story. Coming into the game, the Fever were barely hanging on to 8th place, just a single game ahead of Los Angeles. But after dismantling the Sky, and with the sparks falling to Atlanta, Indiana leapt into 7th with authority. Suddenly, this isn't about clinging to the last spot anymore. It's about momentum, about climbing higher, and even chasing 6th if the results continue to fall their way.
By my rough count, the Fever have beaten the Sky by 12,000 points in their 5 games this season. I'm not perfectly sure on that number, but it seems correct, as they smack the Chicago Sky yet again. Basically, they've already been in a good playoff position, but cement a hold on a playoff spot.
The importance of this moment can't be exaggerated. Sweeping Chicago wasn't just about bragging rights. It made history. That 5-game domination now stands as the widest scoring gap ever recorded between 2 teams in the league. More than that, it cleared the road ahead. With this victory, the Fever officially locked in a postseason berth for the 2nd year in a row. Think about that. A franchise that spent nearly a decade stuck at the bottom, now staring at consecutive playoff appearances, and doing it without Caitlin Clark steering the ship. And while Indiana created their own momentum, the timing couldn't be better. Seattle is slipping in games they needed, and Golden State is staring down a brutal schedule. Indiana didn't depend on help, but they're not ignoring it either. When the margins are this thin, every break matters.
Kelsey Mitchell, brilliant once again. Lexie Hull playing through a busted lip after she's played through black eyes, which came from the knot on her forehead, which, is sort of exemplifies the Fever season, the way they fought through things. You got all players on crutches and carts before the game. Caitlin Clark unfortunately ruled out for the season. It makes you think what could have been, but what is a smacking for the Sky whenever they face them, and a playoff spot almost assured for the Indiana Fever.
And credit where it's due, Stephanie White saw this coming. Her mantra since July was simple: treat every game like a playoff game. That mindset has toughened this roster. Players weren't watching the calendar or worrying about standings. They showed up night after night with postseason intensity, and it's paying off now in the final stretch. This playoff berth isn't just a ticket into the bracket, it's proof this team isn't reliant on a single star. They've forged toughness, balance, and trust, creating a foundation that stands even without their superstar. And when Caitlin Clark returns healthy, imagine what this organization will look like. What already reads as resilience now feels like the opening chapter of something much bigger.
Get the brooms out! Get the brooms out! I got my dustpan handy. We sweeping up the Chicago sky. They are toast. They are done. We gonna hold on to our broom for this entire blog. Listen, the Indiana Fever just absolutely smoked the Chicago Sky. What a win! What a win!
Indiana didn't just secure control of their playoff destiny with a 97-77 win, they redefined what this team is all about. This wasn't a performance carried by one superstar. It was toughness, depth, and a roster refusing to break even while missing 5 key players. Sweeping Chicago by an average of 24 points highlighted a team identity built on resilience. And let's be real, it's even sweeter knowing Angel Reese wasn't on the floor, suspended after her 8th technical foul. If Indiana can dominate in patchwork fashion and still expose Chicago's chaos, just imagine what happens when Caitlin Clark returns to a foundation already built to win. If you're fired up for the Fever, drop a comment below, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. Click the video on the screen. We'll see you in the next one.